Why do I feel so dull? Everything is moving as it should, yet I'm disconnected from life, from myself. How do I get back to feeling like me? The feeling of dissociation followed me around for years. My life on many levels was working on the outside, yet a distance within me was also simultaneously spreading, and I felt confused a lot of the time. I wanted to know, where did I leave myself? And I can pinpoint the feeling that was missing: vitality, my essence, feeling alive, wild, spontaneous, and familiar to myself. For many women, it's tough to admit that we miss this version of ourselves. We think it shows a lack of gratitude or respect for the life that we've built, but that's a lie. Your roles, mother, partner, employee, business owner, are one category. How you feel as a woman is another. They are not the same thing. That feeling of not being able to recognize ourselves is worth our exploration. Hi, if we haven't met before, I'm Ashley Cassandra. I've been an embodiment coach for over 7 years, helping women reach a level of emotional freedom that leaves behind self sabotage. And today we'll uncover what caused this dullness, the patterns we need to overcome, and how to get back to your natural essence. So many of us are trying to go back to how we looked or the way we felt 10 or 20 years ago. I know that I've definitely spent years trying to do this myself. We look at our lives and something stirs, a longing for a version of ourselves that we haven't heard from in a while. But here's the distinction. Instead of getting curious about her, we chase the superficial memory of what it looked like. That vitality that we're missing, that essence of lightness and freedom, it never actually leaves. It doesn't disappear. It just gets buried under the weight of the management, the responsibilities, the obligations, the career, the relationships, the children. We shape ourselves into a version that can handle it all, but the body holds a different memory of every instance we turned away from our own essence and our own alignment. It stores the guilt of leaving that part behind, the resentment, and the weight of who we think we should be. All of this emotional noise covers up our true way of being. Now, to understand why we feel so blocked, we have to look back at our history. For thousands of years, society built a culture that wasn't designed for a woman's complexity. Before empires, economies, and religions turned life into a rule book, we lived differently. Archaeological evidence shows early societies were built on partnership, where a woman's intuition and creativity were central to how a community thrived. Then things shifted. As land was owned and power became something to hoard, a very specific order emerged, and women were confined within it. Our nurturing became a requirement. Our caretaking became unpaid infrastructure. Our bodies, our creativity, our wild knowing, all of it was reclassified. It was labeled as domestic, as instinct, as just what women do. Generation after generation, this got handed down, not as a rule written on a piece of paper, but as a feeling in the body, a quiet internal agreement that says, your value lives in what you produce for others. And let me be clear, this isn't about diminishing the role of men in our lives or our systems. Men are not the problem to be solved here. The issue is that the current standard of success, the rule book, was built on a singular linear rhythm. Yet our biology as women, our creative rhythms are undeniably different. When we try to force a circular, seasonal way of being into this linear static system, we end up feeling broken. The goal isn't to tear down the world with this conversation. It's to figure out how we can navigate it without tearing ourselves apart. It's about learning to honor our natural rhythm, even while we live in a society that hasn't caught up yet. We owe a lot to the visionaries before us, women like Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes and Maya Angelou, and so many others who started unraveling these blocks. We've made huge progress as women with the feminine movements and the boss babe era that gave us both visibility and equality, but they often just gave us a seat at the same old table, forcing us to compete and produce exactly like the people who built it. That visibility was necessary, but it still comes at a cost. We were invited to the table, but we weren't invited to change the way that we work. We're still trapped in a model that pulls us further from our soft, vibrant essence. And that inner dullness you feel, it's not a malfunction. It's a signal. Your essence is knocking, asking to be let back in. So the dilemma we face now is, how do we uphold our responsibilities while sustaining our essence? We've been taught that we have to trade one for the other, but that's a false choice. The real blocks aren't in our schedules. They're in our nervous system. There are two patterns keeping us locked out: distraction and discomfort. I call the first one a functional escape. It looks like this. You finally carve out a moment for yourself. You settle in to create or just be. And then, did I send that email? Did I reschedule that meeting? Did I sign the permission slip for the kids? Wait, what was on the grocery list? Right as you move toward yourself, a thought derails you. This isn't an accident, it's cognitive homeostasis. Your brain is biologically steering you back to what it's known and safe. The moment that you follow your intuition into a new territory, your nervous system sounds an alarm. You feel the spark of change, but then the list appears. The weight of what it would actually take to be this version of you, and then it feels too much. So you reach for a productive distraction to soothe the distress. I want to challenge you when this happens. Why give the feeling of discomfort so much authority over your life? You are uncomfortable in that moment. So what? With all due respect, so what? Discomfort is not equivalent to danger. You are experiencing the stretch of evolving, but your nervous system treats it like a real threat, and it's not. So what ends up happening is you fall into this loop of wishing, reaching, distracting, and recovering. Wishing your current reality was different, gaining a little momentum toward what you dream of, then subconsciously distracting yourself from the unknown, and then needing to recover from that distraction. And depending on how severe your personal distractions are, that can derail you for days, weeks, or longer. Or you can choose otherwise. The moment that you feel the discomfort, stay in it. Let the feeling rise like a wave. Let it peak, and then watch it dissolve. In that moment, you get to shift your focus and stop making the discomfort the thing that you're trying to escape. Make instead the vision of yourself the thing that you cannot live without. So let's start reclaiming that space now with an easy practice, starting with a brain dump, a simple brain dump. Write down everything that you feel responsible for, everything that pulls at your attention. Get it out and label it the management list. Secondly, you'll create an essence list. Without looking at the first list, pivot your attention and start describing, what do you want more of? What pulls you into daydreaming, into excitement, into fun and freedom? Once those two lists are complete, then you move on to the third one, the internal recall. This is when you begin to remember and describe the woman who would live this essence life, that vitality that you remember from long ago. What are her qualities? What makes her laugh and feel alive? Now, I guess I have to say this because people get a little funny. I want to be clear. This doesn't mean you need to quit your job tomorrow, leave the country or leave the family, and move to a cabin in the woods. Reclaiming your vitality isn't about changing your external circumstances. It's about changing your internal relationship to them. It's about making small, consistent micro shifts in your boundaries, in your nervous system, and in your self talk. You can be a mother or caregiver, an employee or business owner, and still reclaim your own frequency, your own pace, and rhythm of life. When you look at your management list and your essence list side by side, it becomes clear. The woman on the second list would not carry everything on the first. She has a different standard for her energy. This is your North Star. It's not some rigid plan, but a living vision of who you already are underneath the noise. It is so common to fall into these loops. Everyone does it. It's not a personal failure, it's a cultural design. But now that you see the functional escape for what it is, you don't have to live inside of it. Give yourself compassion in these moments and give up the dwelling of being in this pattern because you already built the awareness of it. But awareness without action is just information. And information alone won't wake up that part of you that's been sleeping. It won't clear the functional escapes or help you navigate the discomfort of actually changing your life. For that, you need a practice. You need a way to remind your nervous system every single day that it is safe to be seen, safe to be powerful, and safe to be you again. If you're ready to take the first step from knowing to being, I've put together a free 30 days of self-worth challenge. It's designed to help you embody that North Star version of yourself every single day while learning to deeply regulate your nervous system. The link is in the description and it's also commented below. I'll see you in the next one.